All right. Well, hello and welcome to Tina and Karen Do the Tube. I am Karen.
This is Tina
That's right. That's how he likes to introduce himself, folks. Uh,
for now.
yeah, we got a great show up for you today. We have a lot of things on the news. Uh,
Yeah, a lot of topics. Probably the most we've had in a while
it's been a
for one
while
show.
for certain
You think
because
you think we can fit them all in?
we're gonna try. Because of Fourth of July and other personal reasons, we weren't able to meet the last couple of weeks. So stories have been piling up, but we didn't want to just ignore them. So,
Yeah, these are great stories, and we felt the need to still talk about them
all right, let's.
while they're relevant.
What we got for you folks tonight is San Francisco is passed the Karen Act. A woman considers ending a relationship over her boyfriend's Soup City idea. We have President Yeezus to talk about. And, of course, Oklahoma basically decided to give away the
Cut the
state.
nation in half.
Yeah, give away the state. So we're
Yep.
going to talk all that and more. But I think the topic we're going to lead off with is the topic of Asian American relationships in the United States.
Yeah, that was one that you brought up, correct?
Right. Okay. So this is from NBC News, but Kelly Chauvin, the wife of the infamous murderer Derek Chauvin, who killed George Floyd, is being harassed, but not for marrying a murderer. She is being
Contrary to what you might think.
She is being harassed because she married a white guy. It
Dun
seems
dun dun.
the dreaded sin of marrying a white guy.
Yes, the ultimate sin for any Asian American women,
All
obviously.
right. So as more,
Why is she being tormented? Who's tormenting her
well,
specifically?
okay. Well, let me read a
Or what
little.
types of people?
I will read a little bit more of the article, so for those who are unfamiliar with the story. But um, Kelly Chauvin, the wife of Derek Chauvin, is a Hmong American. Trying to pronounce that right. Hmong American, which is uh, an ethnic group from Southeast Asia. As more details around the death of George Floyd are revealed, other developments, including that of the ex-officers charged with murder in the case, was married to a Hmong American woman, have prompted discussions. It's also led to a spate of hateful online remarks in the Asian American community about interracial marriages. Ex-officer Derek Chauvin was fired the day after Floyd's death and now faces murder and manslaughter charges. The day after his arrest last month, his wife Kelly filed for divorce, citing an. I'm reading. I shouldn't read the whole story. Basically, the story is Kelly Chauvin was received mass harassment online for her marriage to Chauvin, but not because he's a murderer. It was because she, as an Asian American, married a white guy, which the Asian American community thought was reinforcing white supremacy. And there might be some evidence to say that, like, Asian
You think
men.
it's white supremacy or white privilege?
I don't believe in white privilege. So I
Okay.
would say it's. I would say. Here's what I'll say: Asian men have been given a bad lot in life. They're largely, if you look at a lot of they're like OK Cupid, I think was a couple years ago. They released data on attractions based on race, and Asian men
Mhm.
routinely were rated as the least attractive race for men.
It's interesting. Why do you think that might be?
I Okay, so there is some interesting history mentioned in this article. Uh,
Yeah, there is actually.
Yeah, it's but when Asian men immigrated to the United States for jobs, it was specifically Asian men, and they weren't allowed to bring their wives. So, and they weren't
Mhm.
allowed to marry Americans. So there
Until
was
1967. Yeah.
right.
So
So there's a good evidence that they were somewhat like by law emasculated by U.S. What do you think about
hmm
that?
and also other cultural things in World War II and the Vietnam War, where I guess Asian women and kind of in the later half of the 20th century were kind of being more sexualized.
Right.
They were saying that might be because of kind of spoils of war sort of thing, and they're seen as more promiscuous, trying to,
Well, it's interesting because
at
like
least in Hollywood.
right.
I'm not sure about like in magazines and newspapers and stuff, but
Right. Well, it's also interesting because there might be some truth to all of these stereotypes that Asian women go for American like white men because
Mhm.
my for instance, every white guy I know who's in a long-term relationship is in a long-term relationship with an Asian woman. Every single one. I'm not even joking. Like my wife, who is an immigrant in this country, when she first came here, she was just astounded that none of my friends, none of my male friends, were dating like white women, gringas. And I had to explain, yeah, I mean they're crazy. I don't want to. We don't want to date them.
Really, none of your friends are dating other.
So okay, I'm not gonna use names, but I can think of
Yeah.
off the top of my head, uh, 4 different friends or family relatives who are all married or dating Asian women, and I don't have that big a
Hmm.
social circle, so 4 out of like 10 is pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely recall some, white man, Asian woman marriages while I was growing up. Amongst my friend group, not as much. I do have more male Asian friends than some other people I'd imagine.
Mm.
Um,
But
growing up in the suburbs of the West Coast, it tends to be a thing.
yeah, right. But what do you think? Do you think Asian men have an unfair uh, disadvantage in the dating game? Do you think there is a stereotype about Asian men? They're just not uh, relationship material or anything? Do you think that's legitimate?
Um, well, in my personal life, no.
Hmm.
More Asian men are dating other white women than I am. But I would say it does seem culturally so that it does seem that way. I mean, the data from OkCupid shows it, and I mean, I don't know a ton of Asian men that have been in a ton of different relationships.
It's a weird thing. Do you think so? The one thing I don't like is that people try to describe like men's American men's interest in Asian women as a fetish. I don't like that. Do you? Because it's a
Being
preference.
a
It's
well, if it's a fetish, then why are they getting married and then starting families? And
exactly. I mean, like a fetish is something you kind of hide, right? It's something like you're not like openly broadcasting to people because it's sort of a kink that you're into. It's it's just a preference. That's the difference. Like I can have a preference
uh,
for I can have a preference for brunettes over blondes, right?
but
But
you'd be more open about that than like a fetish.
right, but redheads are a fetish.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I know people that will admit they love redheads.
Yes, but that's a fetish.
Really?
Yes. Brunette
I would.
whether you like
So
brunette
brunette over blonde is not, but redhead is.
it's just a joke I heard because like the people who are into redheads are really into redheads. Like it's a
Is there
weird
a
thing.
certain level of interest that if it seems overly interested in a certain, I don't know,
When does a
sexual,
when does a preference become a fetish? I don't know. When you have to hide it. When I think that's what it
when you
is.
can't fight it?
No, when you have that yeah, somewhat, but it's when you have to hide it and like it's necessary to get your kicks.
It's more of an obsession then, almost.
I
Is a
mean,
fetish in it?
I would describe a fetish as something of an obsession, right? It's an unhealthy or what's healthy, I don't
It's
know.
like a playful obsession,
It's a playful obsession with something that's abnormal. So
and a very particular, yeah.
so like yeah, you could have a preference for blondes, you could have a preference for brunettes. You could have a preference for Asians, you could have a preference for whites or Latinas
Mm.
or blacks. But like when it comes to redheads, it's a fetish.
Okay. So if you have a preference for Asians, it's not a fetish, but if you have a preference for Asians with strap-ons, it's a fetish.
That's very eloquently put. Well,
There
I
you go. There you go, people. We finally found the line.
do you think that there's a cultural influence on why some Asian women are so highly regarded?
If you listen to the article, it might be because they're seen as sexually promiscuous. I mean, I just looked up the top 100 Asian celebrities of all time, and I couldn't believe who was number one.
Connie Chung?
Who?
Lucy Liu.
No, no. Don't even remember seeing her on the list.
Lucy Liu wasn't on the list of the 100 top Asian actresses? Or wow, that's not good.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have a broad. This was IMDb, and you have to have a broad mind. But Dwayne the Rock Johnson was number 11.
Wait, actresses or actors? Or
celebrities.
Celebrities, okay.
Mhm.
The Rock is Asian. I know he's like. I think he's got like.
Islander, but I
don't.
I have a very
Asian.
distinct line between Islander and Asian for me.
Yeah. It's the difference between a continent and an island.
It's the difference between a redhead and an Asian woman with a strap on.
Well, those are more or less the same, though.
Oh, yes.
They're both bad. But wait, okay. So who's the number one Asian celebrity?
It's a woman model who I didn't even know until now is named Devin Aoki.
Devin Aoki. I've never heard of her.
It's the half sister of Steve Aoki, the famous DJ.
She pops up.
Also the son of the guy who started Benihana. I forget his name.
She's not that attractive. I mean, she's
she's number one on the list. Apparently, she's been in a few Fast and Furious titles too.
That's the thing that came up. I'm looking at her right now, and I don't get it. I mean, like, she's not unattractive, but like, I can't believe that she's the number one most attractive.
She's number one. Over number two. You want to guess who that is?
Anyone from Girls' Generation.
Girls?
It's a K-pop group. Who's number two?
This one should be very guessable. Bruce Lee.
Oh, okay. So it's men and women. Sorry.
Yeah, celebrities.
Yeah, celebrities. Bruce Lee should be number one. Come on.
I know. He's basically started Asian, I guess, really like a leading Asian in Hollywood films.
I remember having a fascination with Asia when I was a kid. Didn't you?
Don't you still?
I still think like Japan is still like one of like the 4 or 5 places in the world I would love to go to. China would be up there too. So, but like, yeah, I've always had a fascination about East Asia. Like, it seems like there's such a great tradition to their culture. Like, it's been sort of like Western culture.
So much older than Western culture.
Right, Western
I guess.
culture is sort of like become homogenized, where like it all sort of blends together. But like Japan is so uniquely Japan, China is so uniquely China. I know less about Southeast Asia, so I can't talk about Cambodia or some of those other countries. But Japan and China, especially, I would love to go to.
Yeah, I mean, I would love going to Japan with you because you get a real mix of like old and new and everything in between.
Let's put it on our list, Marty. Like bucket list. Let's both go to Japan together. We have to go see the cherry blossoms, so we have to go in springtime.
Okay, that would be perfect because I normally travel in March.
Awesome. All right. I don't know when it will happen because like me and my wife are planning a trip to Europe next year. So.
Speaking of your wife and you being an interracial marriage, I mean, did she mention anything about like expectations for Latin women?
I asked her about this primarily because of the article. Basically, the article tries to make the claim that like Asian women who date white men are trying not to be Asian. Like they want to basically be white. That's what the article is just trying to claim. And so I wanted to ask Mary, like, do you feel less Latin because you married to a white guy? And she says not at all. So, but she also thinks that Asian culture is much more rigid. Like Latin culture, so people think that like when people think Latino, they think like what a typical Mexican guy looks like. But truth is, Latin culture is very racially diverse. When I went to Argentina, they looked more like me than like Mary, my wife.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and then everyone makes fun of Argentina because they're like the the prissy ones in South America.
Right. But like that, like Latin America, it's kind of interesting. So like, so the term gringo,
Hmm.
I thought was a slur. It's not really a slur. It depends on how you use it, but it's not based on race. It's based on culture and it's based on language. Gringo just means like basically a English speaker, so a Canadian or American. But
Okay.
the difference being is like so like Spanish people who are like skin white, they're white, but
Hmm.
they're not gringos because they're Spanish. They're
Yeah.
Spanish.
Kind of same with like Cubans. I saw a lot of Cubans in Florida that just look like regular white people.
Right, exactly, and that's what it's like in Argentina. So, like, I mean, like the idea that like Latin America is like homogeneously one race.
Mhm.
It's as racially diverse as the United States. It's just a different culture. It's more
Hmm.
based on language than it is based on race. Like here, we draw
Interesting.
lines heavily on race, and I don't like it. By the way, I don't. But that seems to be the way we're going. I had a conversation with a friend about this recently, and like he read the book White Privilege, which I'm reading. Not White
Hmm.
Fragility.
Fragility. Okay.
Yeah, I'm reading that book, but we had a long debate about that, but we don't need to go
Mm.
into that now. But
No worries.
I told him if I'm gonna criticize the book, I gotta at least read it. So I'm reading it.
Read it and not listening to it, right?
I actually did order a copy online. Yeah, so like I actually read
There
it.
we go.
Ah, yeah.
Eh, eh,
So,
Very nice.
but like that's because
One
I
more thing I wanted to talk about
but that's
with
because I like
this topic.
that's only because I like annotating the book. I like to write the notes, so I'm planning on debating him about it.
Oh, okay. Something
Yeah,
you can't do with audio, or you could still take notes, but
you
you
still
can't reference it as easily.
yeah. I can't flip open to a page and like basically quote her. And yeah, anyways, moving on. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say that speaking about like Asian women and Asian men and I guess Western culture is, I was wondering like why we don't see as many Asian men as like lead characters in like Hollywood or um, just leading actors or could even go to CEOs. Although I think you'll see more CEOs than maybe other than leading actors.
Right. Well, I think you'd probably see a lot more CEOs and high-ranking Asian people in business.
Mm.
It's a cultural thing. I
I
don't.
mean, how many Asian men actors can you name besides the ones that do martial arts?
That's the thing. I was thinking like I only think of like I'm glad you brought that up because like the first two names that came to my mind were Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee. So you're right. They're martial artists who also act. It's not the other way around. So how many actors? Well, I can think of by name. I can picture a lot of them actually. I just don't know them by
Hmm.
name.
Yeah,
Jesus. Yeah, you're right.
it's just
Yeah.
it's because they never like they might be like a side character that is only in a film or two or something like that, and they're never like the main focus of the movie.
There's not a lot of leading men, Asian men who are leading actors. You're right.
Mhm.
Even though, like, I mean, I'm really bugged because I'm just gonna be dying. The guy from Last Samurai. I need to know this guy's name. I'm gonna look it up right now. Hold on.
Last Samurai? I thought that was Tom Cruise.
Yeah, Tom Cruise, but who's the? But you remember there's a Ken Watanabe. Ken Watanabe. I just remembered it.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but he's not like a big name. He's not like Avengers Robert Downey Jr. Chris Evans name.
Hmm.
So you're right.
The
It's
the one I could think of that didn't I he's been in a few movies and was Harold Lee who has played Harold and Kumar.
that I recognize the name and I've of course love Harold and Kumar, but I don't see him as a leading man just because I only know him from Harold and Kumar.
He's in Star Trek, but he
But that
played the Asian character
yeah,
that
but
was also in
that's part of
Star Trek.
that's an ensemble cast and he's not the leading guy, so it's not still.
Yeah. He's a leading guy in another film.
Wait,
Um,
it's not Harold Lee. That's the character's name. It's John Cho. I just looked it up right now. That's the actor's name.
Oh, I guess I only looked at. I didn't click on
See,
the Wikipedia page.
see,
Jeez,
like that's my point. Like
shows my ignorance. Yeah.
no, because like that's the character's name is Harold Lee. John Cho is the actor's name. He's not a leading guy because you don't even know his name.
Who would actually be the lead in Harold and Kumar?
It's Harold. I think.
Is it?
Well, it's a buddy comedy, so
I think Kumar kind of drives the narrative more.
that's true. Shoot, you're right. Okay, actually, because if you look at it,
You can still say that he's Asian or not. Yeah, Asian. Yeah,
he is. He's South Asian, Indian.
yeah, Indian. Yeah, which I would almost say there's more Indian leading actors than even East Asian.
Well, India has a huge cinema culture.
Yeah, they have their own stuff around it.
Right. And I don't know why, but like East Asia, like I'm only thinking of Japan. I don't know what Chinese movies are out there. I don't think you can make movies in China because fuck them.
It's not movies; it's propaganda.
Exactly. But like Japan, it's all animation. I think of anime.
Yeah, that's true. I guess you'd have to know voice actors.
And I don't know why that is. I'd love to look into why Japan has a huge animation culture and not like a live action culture.
That's true. I never really thought about that. There's not a lot of movies. There's just well, maybe there is. I just don't know.
No, but like
but the ones that are popular in the U.S. aren't
the ones that are
live
popular
action
global are all animation. I don't know if Japan has. I'd have to look into that. But well, maybe that's a topic for another time, because that's. But like, yeah, Japan like makes great movies, but they're all animation. Why? And so I'd have to do more research into that. But that's an interesting topic for another time. All right. Moving on. We got. I don't want to talk about the porn stars. Do you?
Not really. We already talked about fetishes.
All right, so moving on. Let's talk about this because it's just meme potential. San Francisco lawmaker introduces the Karen Act to crack down on racially motivated 911 calls. Let's talk about Karens, okay?
Okay. How do we start this? Well, your name's Karen on this show.
That was well before the stereotype emerged. Well before the cliche emerged, unfortunately.
One of the debates is like when it actually became nomenclature, I guess.
For that, I'd probably go to Urban Dictionary or Better Know Your Meme, or what's that called? Know Your Meme.
I know some research, but I know where we got your name, Karen.
Right. That's Talladega Nights.
Yeah, came out in 2006.
So I am a Karen far before anyone else was a Karen.
They actually say they think the term originally arose around 2005 when Dane Cook did a special and made a joke about, a Karen and calls the manager and all that, jazz.
Really?
But it really didn't become popular until around 2017, 2018.
Yeah, I mean, so wait, like that. So Dane Cook is responsible for the Karen meme?
They said that's the earliest point where they could put a Karen together with the act of a Karen.
Wow. All right. So, for those who are unfamiliar, which really basically is just those who are living under a rock, Karen.
Not our listeners.
No, of course not. Karen is a pejorative for a upper middle to middle class white middle-aged woman who feels so entitled to everything that she complains about everything. And the whole phrase, I want to speak to your manager. It sparks it's funny enough because it really is. Sometimes there is truth to all of this. Karen's
I mean, there's a reason why, well, the women now being referenced aren't actually Karens, but the image and the name just all kind of seem to kind of group together to form this pejorative.
Do you think there was a movement going on that there was I think probably a group of Karens who tried to get Karen banned as hate speech, because that's it demonizes them for some reason. Did they not see the irony in that?
Is
Then
is there really a group trying to cancel the term Karen?
I think so. I can't bring up the article, but I do remember there was like a movement to ban the term Karen as like a pejorative, like equivalent to the N word, which is crazy. But but like they were thinking that they were being like discriminated against based on their persona of Karen.
I could understand like actual Karens, and hopefully they're not being thought of as self-entitled women.
Oh, how much you want to bet that the name Karen is like the fastest declining name on the baby list? No one's naming their baby girl Karen anymore.
No, I think it was already declining before this, but
It's the fear of knowing that 30 or 40 years from now that there's still going to be a joke. It's so...
and you know the internet doesn't last that long on jokes, so.
What are you talking? Well, no, but the internet never forgets. Also,
True.
people
True.
like are, you know, the whole thing about cancel culture, where people like dig up stuff from your past in order to ruin your career in the present. So nothing.
Yeah, in the past that was just called investigative journalism.
Investigative journalism.
I don't know. I'm making shit up.
Well, it's fair enough, but like the whole thing about cancel culture is it's stuff that was tame in 2005 is not tame today. So you can like basically hold people accountable for stuff they said in 2005, which was relevant and acceptable.
Would you say a vast majority of the cancel culture is Karen type people?
Are the Karens who are the ones outing the people or the ones being outed?
Outing.
Oh, definitely. That's mostly what's going on.
Mm-hmm. They're just doing it to push down other people, or
it's unhappy women who want to feel powerful.
You can't have a happy woman trying to be powerful.
Well, why would a happy woman want to destroy anyone's life? It seems like a weird thing to want to do.
True. This is true.
Right? I mean, so like,
I think so.
Yeah. It's that's what a Karen is. Is they just anyways. I don't have any more thoughts on Karens. Karens
do you well
I am
no more
Karen.
thoughts, but do you have any experiences with your own Karens?
Do I have an experience with a Karen? Jesus, you know I should, because I work in service industries. I have worked in service industries, but I've never. Well, funny enough, my only experience with a Karen was a guy. Okay, so
we call that a Brad or maybe a Ken.
Well, okay. So back in college, I got fired from a job. I didn't get technically fired. They respected me enough to let me quit.
Okay.
But like they basically said they could not keep me employed there, unfortunately.
Okay.
A guy complained about me. So
was this the one job I think? Is it in college?
This was I had a job in college for about 3 or 4 years, which
Okay.
I love this job, by the way. It was one of my better jobs because I just got along with all the employees and I bullshitted. You ever see Clerks?
Yeah.
I was Randall. Like every day, that was every day, and I loved it. I really did. But I got quote unquote fired because someone came in, and it was a really busy time. Like it was like busy, and I was stressed because I was working hard. And the guy tried to order a milkshake we only had a certain number of flavors available, right? So imagine like he was asking, I want a banana milkshake. And like I say like, okay, we have the flavors listed here. I point to a list. And he says, I'll take a pumpkin milkshake. And like it wasn't on the list. Like, can you read? It's this is the list of flavors we have. Don't try to order something we don't have. But that guy got pissed because he didn't like my tone. Made a complaint.
Oh my God.
Made a complaint with our manager. Okay, in his defense, I implied that he was illiterate because he didn't read the sign. Okay. But in my defense, I thought he knew he was illiterate. I didn't know I was letting the cat out of the bag there.
I didn't know it was
apparently he was really offended.
Some secret.
Yeah, apparently he was really offended that like I pointed out that he was illiterate. But he was. But it doesn't matter. So that's funny enough. That's the only job I've ever been fired for, and it's the job I enjoyed the most because it's the job that gave me the most freedom. And it's probably in my
Ultimately, that freedom just ended that.
probably. Anyways, I don't have any ill will about it because I enjoyed my time there, and that guy's an asshole, and he's a Karen.
Hey, it's not just a woman exclusive term, I guess.
It's not. Let me speak
It's
with
not. That's secret.
Are you saying I can't read? Let me speak with your manager. How dare you accuse me of not reading when there's a sign that I refuse to read?
Oh man. I guess my one experience with a Karen was on the phone one Christmas, and when Terrans tend to come out the most in my industry.
Oh yeah.
And it was our mistake. We messed up on our order in time for Christmas, and we only had she got it. It was the wrong thing, but she wanted a replacement, and we told her that we told her it wasn't possible because it's it's a B2B item and it's made on demand, and it just wasn't enough time to get it in time for Christmas. And then she demanded it in time and for free.
Oh my god.
And then she did ask to talk to a manager.
Oh my god.
And I'm the only person there at the time. So I put down the phone and then picked back up the phone. I was being an asshole, but I said, "This is the manager," and then she was like, she started like crying a little bit that it wasn't gonna arrive in time, and like I let her know there's literally nothing we can do. And she made some complaints about her husband going over to Iraq and stuff.
What?
And then
What's that to do with
because it
anything?
was around that time,
Okay.
and he had to go there and risk his life. And then we looked it up. The guy he's not even in the military forces. He's a contractor for an oil company going over to Iraq.
Oh my god. You serious? Oh,
no
geez.
joke.
No,
yeah.
No.
And the jersey was for her husband too. So
okay.
Yeah.
That is priceless. That is this is a woman who has lost touch with reality, and she feels
he's going over to Iraq with his bodyguards over to multinational company. He's not safe.
My husband is risking his life for your freedom while he makes money.
How would you drive a car without him?
Oh my god, this woman sounds amazing. I've had a few more experiences with Karens now that I think about it, but nothing is quite like the male Karen that got me fired technically. So I'm still like a little torn up about like this guy refused to read a sign and he got me fired for it. Like fucking asshole.
For something that didn't even really exist, and it wasn't even like that pointed of a comment. It's like, can you read?
Like, maybe I was harsh with his but like he was probably drunk. That's probably part of it.
Oh, was it late at night too? You still have the presence of mind to complain to management though about it.
I swear to God, that's all it was that got me fired. Is because like he tried to order flavors of milkshakes that weren't on the list, and I told him to read the list, and he wouldn't. Jesus Christ! I thought I was being patient with him, but apparently I wasn't. And I've had a few more experiences since then, but in jobs I care less about, so I just refer them to manager. I really do, because I have had that happen a couple times where they tell me, "I want to speak with your manager." Okay, good. Fuck, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Because I
think women or people will be scared to talk to managers now because they don't want to be perceived in this light. You think there's going to be change because of this?
No, man. The whole rule of business is the customer is always right. So no matter how annoying these people get, people will always just cave to them, unfortunately. I do recall a time where like, okay, so I work a side job at a pizza place, and I remember like someone calling to complain about how like the pizza wasn't good, like it was overcooked or something, but they had already eaten the whole pizza and they wanted a new one. Like, you know what? We might have been able.
Why'd you eat the pizza?
Yeah, it's like we might have comped you a pizza if like if you realized it when you opened it up or you took a bite and it wasn't it. But did you have to eat the whole pizza before you filed a complaint? Come on, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you a 1-star review on Yelp because you didn't count me.
God, no, yeah, that is an actual downside because like the thing about like with negative comments versus positive comments is people, if someone has a good time at a place, what are the chances they actually write a review?
Less often than if someone has a bad time.
Exactly. So, but if someone has a really bad time, they feel motivated to go out and write that bad review. And all of a sudden, a business that, for whatever reason, probably was fine, doing good, they just had one or two people who like were just having a bad day, and then they go out there and they try to destroy that business. It's kind of
It's
sick.
sad.
It's
Yeah.
really sad. I don't know.
It's people are so much more motivated by anger than happiness.
Yeah, because like the really funny part is like when people are happy, they assume that's the natural state of being. So they don't do anything.
Yeah, this
at
is
all.
natural. I don't need. This is how it should be.
Yeah, but the truth is, the natural state of being is suffering. So you should be grateful when you're happy.
When you're not suffering.
Yeah. But
Do you think if like, let's give like a the Black Mirror Twilight Zone analogy, and say like if we actually, I think they did an episode on this where they just basically rated everyone constantly.
they rated everyone constantly?
Yeah, they had some sort of visual thing or something on their phones, and it was all perceived based on rating. And
Oh, so this is a
you were
Black
you were
Mirror
like
episode.
motivated more to rate stuff.
Oh, this is a Black Mirror episode.
It is, yeah.
Okay. I would love to watch more of that show. That show is great. I think that might be the future we might be heading at. I honestly
Where
do.
China is heading, right, with their social credibility score or something like that.
Right. Actually, I think that's So if we believe in this idea of a universal basic income, let's say technology basically makes 90% of jobs obsolete. Well, people have to survive, but what are they gonna do? They're gonna be social commentators, and then they're gonna rate, and that's sort of like that's sort of their incentive. Like the universal basic income won't be universal. It'll be tied to your ability to rate businesses, so that we can like create that social rating for people and oust the people we don't like.
It's data driven.
Exactly. It scares the hell out of me, but that might be the future we're heading.
Yeah, I mean, futures, man.
Futures.
Multiple futures, man.
Multiple futures, man. Okay.
Speaking of the near future, you want to move on to one of our other topics? I think we.
Yeah, of course. The transition of, speaking of near futures, is Soup City coming to a town near you?
Black Mirror episode.
Oh, this headline's too good to like to resist. It's so silly. So, woman considers ending a relationship over her boyfriend's ludicrous request. I am concerned for his sanity. And the boyfriend goes on to say the idea, if you can call it that, is to construct a series of tubes throughout a city that leads to a centralized soup kitchen. For a monthly subscription, a customer can subscribe to a tube of soup, and a soup extension would be built off the nearest mainline tube and directly into the customer's apartment or home.
Jesus.
Is this the future?
Well, I guess my first question to you would be: would you subscribe to this?
Soup service? A tube?
Let's say it was completely plausible.
If I had a pipe that ran to my house, that just fed me soup.
And you got to choose which soup you wanted. Like you're not stuck to one soup, right?
But only one thing can come out of that pipe. I think, is it like a monthly service? Like, hey, it's tomato soup month. Hey, it's chicken noodle soup with chunks that'll clog your pipe.
That was part of the problems with the idea, right? Was that you had to stick to one type of soup. You couldn't like mix.
Well, the problem with the idea is the guy wanted to build a tube city in a. The problem with
Okay, the real problem, yeah.
The real problem is that he had the idea to begin with. That he thought that this was like the next Facebook. Everyone's gonna want soup that just runs throughout it's a monthly service. You just pay a monthly fee and you get soup on demand. and we'll we'll run
What was so funny about this was it just seemed like such a guy idea,
well
or like a dad idea or something like that.
that's I want to know, is this headline real? Is like, how serious did this guy take this idea? Like, literally. Like, is it just like he was joking with his wife or girlfriend? Like, yeah, I have
It
this idea.
sounds like he was like spending money, and that probably was what caused the concern, I would imagine.
If this is a guy who really thought this was a good idea, then yeah, he needs help. But the funny thing is, it does sound like just something a guy would tell his girlfriend. Like, I got the next $1 million idea. This is the next Facebook soup
I
service.
know so many guys like that though. It's
You know a lot of guys who think they have the next $1 million idea.
no,
You know a lot of guys who
but
want to
they think
deliver
they do.
soup. They okay. I, there's nothing wrong with ambition and like having this vision, but like I don't know what to say about this. Like, Soup City.
I would subscribe to it if it was possible.
It would depend on, like, are we talking like $13 a month? Then maybe soup on demand. Sure.
$13 a month? Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh, I definitely think.
Much as I pay for Netflix.
What cost would you not want to subscribe to soup service?
Ooh, at what points? Summertime, I usually have less soup.
That's right. Summertime.
Uh, can I get chili? Does chili count as soup?
Chili is.
Can they pump? Can they pump chili through the tube?
No. This is very,
No. Okay.
very, very straightforward. We're giving you chicken noodle soup or tomato soup. That's it.
It has to be a very liquidy soup.
It has to. If it's gonna run through pipes throughout a city, yeah.
I guess only if I lived in like a major city above the Arctic Circle, maybe.
See, that's the problem. This guy didn't market it to the right audience. He's got to move up north.
What's he doing down in San Francisco? Come on.
San Francisco, it's warm most of the year. Fuck it. You're not gonna want soup. It's a terrible idea. I don't know.
I just think it's so funny too because I brought up my dad because he always had these like ridiculous ideas about starting a small business, like just running the garbage, that we wasted from not eating and making a mulch barrel that he'd turn and feed his worms and start a worm thing. It sounds like in the line with that sort of idea. Problem is the bucket became too heavy to really like turn with the stuff he was using.
Oh my god.
So it just kind of sat there.
That may sound like a bad business idea, but it's nothing like this. I mean, I can see the idea of like turning waste into profit. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But
that might be a better idea, turning all that wasted food into soup.
Well, the problem with
ugly food
was a problem with some of these like $1 million ideas that some people think that are golden is that you have to get broader society to go along with it. It's not just
yeah, well, especially with him, you need all the zoning and the
exactly, because it's if you have a small business idea but it's all on a consensual basis with like small customer base,
small gated community, let's say.
Yeah, like okay, so if this guy really was like really gung ho about he has the best soup in town, I'm gonna send the soup. Like a more reasonable idea is like a monthly subscription service will send a box of pre-made soup to your house. That would be
that would be much more reasonable.
Well, I mean, I don't think it would work, but at the very least it's reasonable. But the idea that you can run tubes through a city.
Oh jeez. I swear it said soap. I must have misread it or something originally.
Yeah.
And it still didn't make sense to me, but
Soaps.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. I feel like we've laughed at this guy enough.
Okay.
Unfortunately, because he deserves to be laughed at longer. All right. So, who will you vote for in 2020? Joe Biden, Donald Trump, or Kanye West? So Kanye West earlier this week, or was it part of last week? I can't remember. Declared that he is going to run as an independent in 2020. He called it the birthday party because it's gonna.
The birthday party?
he formed his own political party and he called it the birthday party because like when he wins, it's gonna feel like everyone's birthday. I'm not
Jeez.
making that up, by the way. That's he called it that.
I didn't know that part of the story.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so let's hit the bullet points first. Would you vote for Kanye West?
I'm still holding out hope for President Camacho.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I will give Kanye some legitimacy here for a second because I think he's being serious. I think that he's insane, but he's also being serious.
You can be both.
I don't think he's an idiot. I think he's insane. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
I think he's actually pretty brilliant. He's smarter than most people. His music, he's really talented, but he's also a crazy person.
Just in his scope of talent.
Yes. All right, but like to give him a little more credibility, okay? What is your overall opinion of Elon Musk?
That's actually kind of changed throughout the years.
Oh, really? Well, I only start this up because Elon Musk
was like the first person to endorse him, right?
He endorsed Kanye West for president. And I don't think he's doing it as a joke. Because
Never tell with Elon, right?
Elon Musk is a figure who really gets meme culture. He really gets like internet culture. So he likes to enjoy it. He's like the first like I don't know what you want to say like he's the first billionaire that really like gets the internet.
What does he have to lose to endorse Kanye anyways,
well, I'll say some of these like other internet billionaires like Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey and all these other they're old school billionaires. Elon Musk gets what the internet is all about. So, even though he didn't make his fortune,
Jack Dorsey is less of an old school. He seems pretty progressive on a lot of internet ideas.
No, he's an idiot. And he knows he's an idiot. That's the crazy part.
I know I've heard of some of the crazy things he goes through on a daily routine, but
anyway, no, he's an old school billionaire. What I mean by Elon Musk is like he is the first billionaire who understands the internet. Jack Dorsey doesn't understand the idiot. Jack Dorsey doesn't understand the internet. He's an idiot.
Does Kanye understand the internet?
No, he doesn't need to.
No.
But knowing that Elon Musk endorsed Kanye, what does that do for you? Does that change
does that give him any more credence?
Yeah, does it like yeah, exactly. Or you think it's more legitimate or it's less so or it's pretty much even keel? You don't care that someone like Elon Musk would endorse him.
It just seems right in line. I guess Elon is kind of in the same way as Kanye is. I see him as a very smart and person who's leading the way on space stuff and electronic stuff and whatnot. Kind of like Kanye's led the way on music and even fashion to some extent.
Oh, dude, do you remember those like stupid glasses? You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. The one with like they look like shades, or
exactly. Like
is that a gay thing?
I know it seems like it's kind of silly to talk about because but that for a time was kind of popular. It seems like so foreign now in 2020, but like back in like 2008, 2010, they were actually somewhat popular. He was a trendsetter in that way. I'm not saying
he's a trendsetter. Yeah,
I'm not saying everyone walked around with those shades on them, but like it was. If I saw someone wearing those, I wouldn't think that they were crazy.
They're just being ironic now, would you say, or just being goofy?
Oh, now?
Yeah, yes. If they were still walking around with them now.
Yes, if they did it now, it would be totally ironic. But I'm just saying, like back 10 years ago, we don't remember how ugly our trends and fashions and culture was 10 years ago. But
it's funny how like fashion can become irony in a matter of a decade.
Well, I think that like it's funny to think that things are cyclical. I think that like the 2000s and early 2010s was something like the 80s in the terms of its fashion choice. It's very neon. It's very
bright.
Yeah, it's very very bright, very in your face, over the top. And I think what we're in now is more the 90s. We're back to grunge.
Back to hoodies and
yeah, it's cyclical.
slim pants.
It's funny that like fashion and culture is cyclical in that way. We're more back into the 90s grunge than 80s.
Well, yeah, fashion becomes ironic, becomes fashion again in a weird cycle.
The law of the hipsters. They'll go along.
The hips, yeah, there you go, leading the charge.
All right, but okay, so back to Kanye West. What do you know about his political views?
He's been an outspoken Trump guy. He said that George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Yep.
I don't know if he was the biggest fan of Obama, but I could be wrong.
He is a huge Trump.
Been against the grain for quite a lot of his music career, it seems like.
It seems that like the one thing that we can say that's true about Kanye, no matter what, is that he doesn't like being told what to do. He doesn't like people putting labels on him. He doesn't like when people try to define him. He's always going to go against the grain. He just likes it that way. So that's I think what Kanye is about. He doesn't like being told what to do. So I'm going to run for president.
Oh, jeez.
Okay,
what do you think? You kind of have my opinion. I'm just not taking it seriously.
Okay.
But
what I think, and it's kind of conspiratorial. Do you want to hear it?
That's the other side of it. Yeah, the internet's talking about.
I think Kanye is. I don't think he's conspiring with Donald Trump. It's not like they have conversations about this sort of stuff. But I think Kanye West wants Donald Trump to win, and he wants to basically take support away from Joe Biden.
Okay, so it's him helping Trump, basically.
Right. Yeah, because
not really trying to win, because if you look at it, he can't even have his name on the ballot in several states now, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's true. So he's just trying to sabotage Joe Biden's campaign at this point, unless he's really crazy and he thinks he has a chance of winning.
Which is possible.
It's possible. Crazier things have happened, but no. Nothing's crazier than President
Kanye. I can't discount anything nowadays, you know.
So I'm just trying to figure out is like what is his motivation? Does he really believe that he can be president and that he should be president, or is he just trying to help Donald Trump win?
Do you think Kim would be like his Hillary and be the one really kind of running things?
I would love first. Do you know what would be funny is like if he did get elected, we'd have porn videos of the first lady.
Oh my God, that's so true.
It's like what the fuck.
That's so in line with how things are trending.
Oh my God, like it's like 2020 is a joke. It's so beyond crazy.
Maybe that's why he's running. It's just this year's been so ridiculous that he just has to.
Yeah, 2020 has been so crazy that I wouldn't actually be too surprised if Kanye wins. Like that would be just sort of like.
That would be the cherry on top.
That's the cherry on top. That's like, everything that like 2020 was the craziest year ever, so we decided to just nuke the whole system. Let's make President Kanye.
The speed of satire, you know.
Now, the one thing I will say about him is I actually do like about him. He seems to be a man of good faith. He's a very devout Christian, and he just wants. It sounds like he's more interested in the spiritual than the political. He wants.
That's probably why he wouldn't be a good president.
Maybe not, but like if what you think, that's a bigger discussion because I think what America lacks is like a spiritual rather than political. We don't need political change. We're in very nihilistic culture these days, which is why I see
see that.
Which is why I see suicide's on the rise, drug addiction.
Who would you say is the last real spiritual president? Reagan?
Ooh, fuck. I don't know. I don't know enough about Reagan to say was he a spiritual guy. I don't know.
You could make an argument maybe for W. Bush, but no. I'm not sure if you can make a serious argument.
No. Because when I think of a spiritual leader, it's apolitical. So I don't think a spiritual leader would want to run for president. Is the thing.
Unless he was the spiritual leader of Iran.
Right. Well, thank God we're not Iran. So it's so weird because America is a unique culture because we do believe in the separation of church and state. I'm not
Hmm.
saying I actually do believe that people do need religion, um, but at the same time, we also agree that like politics should be separate from religion. Which
Hmm.
I don't know, but at the same time, at least I'll say this about Kanye. I think he actually is. He's clearly a devoted family man. He
Hmm.
he believes that the thing that's affecting Americans the most is we lack God in our lives. Now,
Is that one of his running points?
from what I read
I
about,
haven't actually.
uh, I
Yeah.
I did read a little bit about his like campaign, like they asked him about the issues, and it's a heavily God based platform.
Hmm.
So if he were to be elected, he'd be the most Christian president we probably ever elected, at least in my lifetime.
Oh damn. Maybe Jimmy Carter wasn't he a minister at one point?
I don't know. I know he was a peanut farmer.
Yeah,
Everyone
I
knows
know
that.
that too.
Everyone knows that. Uh, I'd have to look more into that. Like, okay, let me just
Mhm.
type that in. Most spiritual president ever. Okay, it says Abraham Lincoln, which I'm not
He's
gonna.
a man of many things, but I don't think he was known for his
Well,
devout religious
well, I mean,
beliefs.
the abolition movement was a heavily Christian movement,
It's
and he was
true.
an abolitionist. He was the first abolitionist to be elected president. So
Was
that's
he? I guess so, yeah.
well, I mean, there might have been others, but he's the one who did the most. So,
Openly.
yeah, which is why there was a civil war, mind you.
Hmm. Oh. Hmm.
I'm really just trying to think about that. Like,
Well, a lot of presidents were Masons too, right? And their Masons are supposed to have at least in a devout view of something, right?
mm-hmm,
Some sort of spiritual order, right? I think.
hmm, I don't know. This is a
I
tough
don't
one.
know.
I can't
I
answer
didn't
that
I didn't
question.
think this would evolve into like spiritual leadership with
No,
Kanye.
I know it seems like silly, but like I'm just saying to give Kanye his due, to give him all the, to give him take him seriously. Just
Credence. So, yeah.
yeah, just I don't think you have to vote for him, but let's take him seriously. Why does he want to run for president? Now, there's the theory that I already mentioned that he's trying to sabotage Joe Biden, and then there's the theory
Mhm.
that like he truly believes he's right to be president. And if he believes he's right to be president, I think it's because he sees America's biggest flaw or biggest problem right now is not being a political problem; it's a spiritual problem. Which I just I don't really object to that because I think it's probably true.
Hmm. Yeah, interesting. Or he's doing it for the memes.
There is that theory too. That's why I think Elon Musk is going along for it.
That was a that was a theory with Trump too, as he never really intended on winning.
Uh, I
You
do
think
believe
that's true?
I believe that Donald Trump is a narcissist. I think he didn't like people telling him he couldn't be president. I don't think he did it because he wanted to make a joke of it. I think that he's such a narcissist that everyone laughed at him when he said I might want to be president. Yeah. And then ha 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 you can't be president. Well, he's like fuck you. So there might have been a little bit of that.
Yes, I can.
I think that was probably his driving force, but I don't think he was taking it as a joke. He just really wanted to shut people up.
Okay, you don't think he was just doing it as like a business decision?
Well, if it was a business decision, it's been the most horrible business decision anyone's ever made because he's lost billions of dollars being president. His brand
Which is what he's known for before that.
well, he was a billionaire, but he's lost billions of dollars since being president. So it's the worst business decision anyone's could have made. So I don't think he did it for that reason.
Does Vegas have odds on Kanye yet?
No, but dude, you want to put like a beer bet? I will buy you a beer if Kanye becomes president. I will buy you a beer in Canada.
I can't go to Canada.
Why can't? Oh, because of the
I don't have a passport deal and stuff.
Mexico.
How about it? If he gets more than 3% of the votes, I'll buy you a case of beer.
I think he could do better than 3%. I think he.
I think Isn't historically like 3%? I guess Ross Perot was the best third party candidate, right?
Well,
In
no, I think
terms of how
Teddy
much of the vote
Teddy
in
Roosevelt.
modern times.
Yes, Teddy Roosevelt is the most successful third party president ever.
Bull
Ross Per-
Moose Party, right?
the Bull Moose Party, and then Ross Perot would be
Yeah.
second, and he got like 17% of the vote. I
17. Okay.
I would give Kanye. I think Kanye can get at least 5. I think he can get to 10.
I'm giving you 3% right here, right now.
I'll take 3%. I'll take that bet. I think he can get 3%.
All right, here we go.
All right, shake
Case
hands.
of beer?
Yeah, case of beer. Kanye.
Virtual shake?
wait. Are you saying he can't get it or can get it?
Can't.
Can't? I'm saying he can get 3%.
Yeah.
He's gonna get 3%. I will take a case of Mere Pond Pale.
Near what? What?
Deschutes Brewery Mere Pond Pale. I like that beer.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll take any sort of alcoholic beverage.
I'll buy you a case of like hams.
There you go.
Milwaukee's best.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, yes. All right. Is there anything else you want to say about Kanye?
I think there's still more to be found out as his candidacy continues.
Oh, my. I will watch his campaign with delight. If he gets onto the debate stage, which I don't think...
Yes.
Oh, fuck, yes. But I don't actually think that there's going to be debates.
Yeah, exactly. And it seems Biden is best just being quiet and letting Trump kind of...
Well, I think Biden knows that if he were to debate Trump, Trump would win, and it only helped Trump. So why would Biden want to agree to the debates?
Is no better excuse because of what's going on right now not to do a
He has
debate.
good excuses, I'll give him that, but everyone knows that Trump would win. So he
Mhm.
just doesn't want to debate him.
Who would want to? I mean, you can't argue the facts.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, so like, you know what would be great if we have a debate between Kanye and Trump?
Yes, I think they'd agree on a lot more stuff than people might imagine.
Biden doesn't have to show up. I just want to see Kanye up on the debate stage and then ask him questions and have him just riff, because he when he riffs, he just goes crazy. Says
Isn't
stuff.
there a picture of him talking with Trump and the camera's on him and Trump kind of like, I don't know if he rolls his eyes, but it feels like he's rolling his eyes.
A lot of people think that, yeah, like there was that famous like that famous, what would you call it? Interview, not interview.
I don't know. They were talking when the cameras were on him.
An Oval Office meeting, and Kanye West was in the Oval Office talking with the president, and
he out-talked Trump.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, people think there was a discussion going on. No, Kanye just talked for like a long time, and he talked about Tiger Blood. And he talked about like, it's great.
Yeah, and Trump just sat there, didn't say a thing. He didn't care.
No, because Kanye was praising him, and like we all know, Trump.
Yeah, that's true.
No one loves Trump like Trump. So when people like praise him, he's like, "Yeah, you can talk, please, go on."
I would love to see them on a debate stage.
It would be funny. I would love to see Kanye West on a debate. I would. That's.
If that happens, we're getting together and we're watching it.
Oh, we're definitely live streaming that, and that's going to be a podcast. But like I said, I don't think there will be presidential debates this year.
Yeah.
One, because of the pandemic, and two, because like it only hurts Biden, so he won't do it. All right.
You have any more thoughts on the pandemic? We're going into July now, and
I do have. Months. I have one really amusing anecdote about the pandemic. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
All right. So my wife and I were out at a karaoke bar just like last night.
Ooh, okay, you're getting out and about.
Yeah, we like to support this. They're really a nice business, and we want to support them. But like we go down there, and just we had been basically rehearsing and practicing a song the entire night. I'd picked Clint Eastwood by Gorillaz. Are you familiar?
Mm-hmm.
And she had picked out a song she had never sung before, called "The Dog Days Are Over."
Never do that.
Yeah. Never do it.
The karaoke.
Yeah.
It's always best to pick a song that you know and like.
Exactly. You got to pick a song you know and that you know well. So she loved the song. She had heard it, and I want to sing it. So she practiced. She listened to it. But then when she goes out onto the stage to sing this song, Dog Days Are Over, um, doing it like when you're listening to it versus doing it karaoke is a whole different thing. So she stumbles. The parts she does sing are good. I'm listening and I'm applauding her, but she is stumbling. No, there's no question about that. So she sings the chorus. She's like mumbling at the verses, but she sings the chorus really well. But it's not going great. Now,
how many people were there though in the audience?
It was a smaller crowd than when we first went out like a couple weeks ago. Moderately full, like 25% full, something like that.
What's 25% pull in a karaoke bar?
I don't know. There was like 15, 20 people there, maybe.
Okay, that's a good amount.
Okay.
Mhm.
But like, okay, so she locks off the stage, and I'm supposed to go on after her, but the DJ just says we're gonna take a brief break at the time. So he plays some music. I wait, and then later on in the night, 5 minutes later, he says we will no longer be doing karaoke tonight, so we're just taking song requests. And I'm like, what? I was gonna be next. I go up to, and I'm not mad. I'll just walk out. I don't care. I mean, but just I'm out of curiosity. Why aren't you doing karaoke? It was that in the middle of Mary's act, in the middle of her song, he had got a call from the state's liquor control board saying that there was no karaoke is no longer allowed in Washington.
Right in the middle of it.
Right in the middle of in her song, right in the middle of it. And
what?
Yes. And me and her were joking about this pretty hard. But basically, Mary did so bad at her song that the government just had to ban karaoke for the entire state. That's how bad it was.
They wouldn't even.
It's like Inslee.
I hadn't heard that they banned it at all.
Yes, no, this was just.
Well, unless he was joking.
No.
He wasn't joking.
It was not a joke. Like Inslee, I don't know if it was Inslee, but the state liquor control board basically said this: like karaoke is not allowed anymore. So like we were all just joking. Like someone must have like phoned up Inslee and say, yeah, you have to shut karaoke down because just like. We can't let this go on.
There's too many people listening to these.
There's too many people at risk. So, like, Mary is the last person in Washington State to sing karaoke during the pandemic.
Wow! Congrats, Mary.
Yeah, it's fun to talk about.
No, you're the last live musician
I want to give her some credit because she actually does sing really well when it's songs she knows. But this was a song she was just tried for the first time and she stumbled.
It had to be the Dog Days Are Over, right?
That's a good song.
Or was that your song?
No, my song was gonna be Clint Eastwood, and I.
Okay, hers was Dog, or was it?
Dog Days Are Over.
Why am I thinking it was?
Yes, Dog Days Are Over.
Okay, it had to be that song. The Dog Days Are Over.
Yep, it's also kind of fitting too. Yeah,
they are over.
They are over. And I had basically practiced because I wanted to pick a song where you don't need to be a good singer, so I picked a rap. Because
another 90% karaoke no for novices.
Yeah, well, I mean, I rehearsed. I tried to get really good, and I was able to do the entire rap section without missing a line before we went out.
Well,
yeah.
You go.
All right.
One of my favorite memories is when you did karaoke and you were doing it at the Sunset Bar and Grill on my quote-unquote 21 run.
Drunken Lullabies. I still remember that.
Yeah, I don't even know that bar exists in the harbor anymore.
I don't know, man. We should go back to Gig Harbor sometime whenever we hang out, just to go visit some of the old spots. The
quarantine pub crawl.
Yeah, I want to do another pub crawl with you. I mean, like our one on 6th Ave was so much fun, man. Because you remember how like we came across Dirty Sanchez.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember like we were really drunk and then these guys just invited us into their house and this guy
Yeah. They were like smoking weed, right?
They were just smoking weed and like the guy I think he called himself Dirty Sanchez.
We were like, why the hell not?
Yeah. But that was a fun night. We need to do another pub crawl soon.
Quarantine pub crawl.
Oh, that's going to be good. Face mask.
All the people that are out and about drinking on a
We'll just
Or
have.
hand in my, they'll probably be the more interesting
What we'll
people.
do is like we'll have people sign our face mask at each bar. Like have the bartender. Hey, can you sign my face back? I'm going
This
on
is
the
an
quarantine
idea.
pub crawl.
I'm liking this idea.
Yeah, we gotta do it. A quarantine pub crawl.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
2020.
2020. Like we'll actually go to the same bars we went to in 2014 when we first did this. Go to the same bars.
Yeah.
And I already promised.
We had to start earlier because I think they all close early now.
Yeah. I just promised my wife we will Uber our way home. We will not drive.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, we're not. We don't like want to promote.
We're morons, not idiots.
We're morons, not idiots. That's fucking right. Morons for life. All right. Okay. We have two more topics. Which we got the Bechdel test and we got Oklahoma.
Ooh, Bechdel tests.
Okay. So you are the. Why don't you take the? Tell me a little more about what the Bechdel test is. Oh wait.
Yeah. So
before you do that, we're gonna take a brief break so I can go to the restroom.
Okay.
Okay. So don't talk. I'll edit this part out. Be right back.
Okay. Jet told me to just keep talking when I didn't hear any other noise because there was something playing. So I imagine there's like a intermission music going on, like a and I can't remember the rest. But yeah, it's this is what an intermission feels like, kind of like an awkward pause, except there's not another person on the other line to feel awkward with. There's just a listener, we're just feeling awkward together, I think. You feel that? I'm actually wondering if Jet's listening right now, but I think he is. But all awkward pauses have to come to an end eventually. I think. Yeah. Trying to think of the longest awkward pause I ever had. I can think of maybe where one might have occurred, but I wouldn't want to relay it over the air. Because, nothing, thing with awkward pauses is it's usually the unsaid things, that makes it awkward. And, after you say something very, not provocative, but, embarrassing. Can you have awkward pauses, without embarrassment? Questions, And what is the opposite of awkward? Confidence? Is that it? I'm not sure. Opposite of awkward. Normal? Maybe that's it. Just act normal, right? Just act normal. That is a funny phrase, act normal. Like, you just can't be normal. You have to not you're not normal to begin with, but you have to act on what you think is normal. Jet's gonna love listening back on this. I really need to start drinking during these podcasts. That's for sure. I haven't done so in a while. probably would help it feel less awkward on these pauses here. Yeah, nice beer. Might start drinking after this podcast. Probably will, but
Hey,
gotta finish it up first, huh?
hey, Marty.
Hey,
Hey,
hey.
who are you talking to?
I was talking to the people.
Okay, we're not editing that part out then.
You did tell me to just act normal while I was.
Did I say that?
If you
Well,
said that if it was blank silence, just to respond like any other situation.
that was assuming I was gonna play an audio clip. I told you I was going to the restroom. What were you talking about?
You'll hear when you edit it.
Okay. I'm looking forward to that part. I'll read it. Anyways, but we're gonna talk about the Bechdel test. So go ahead.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot.
All right.
Okay, starting in 2, 3, 1. The Bechdel test. Yeah, I first heard about the Bechdel test thanks to a recent episode of Rick and Morty not so long ago.
Oh, I haven't seen that show in a while.
The test is basically it's a narrative test to test out if women kind of have a more I don't know the exact right term, but more of a three-dimensional character in the narrative rather than maybe just like a singular
All right.
singular character, I guess.
Okay. I'll help you out there. The Bechdel test is a measurement of women's representation in fiction. It asks whether a work of features at least two women who talk to each other about something other than a man.
Sounds so much better than how I put it.
Well, I'm reading it, to be fair. But it's basically a test that tries to... Are women fully fleshed out characters in a movie, or are they just sort of the love interest for the male character, or the object for the character to achieve?
Or just like, just a typical housewife or, girlfriend or anything. And I think part of the measurement of the test is like if two women can have a conversation between each other, not about a man, right?
Exactly. So a movie passes the Bechdel test if two female characters can have a scene together where they don't talk about a man. And so I'm trying to bring up a list of movies that pass the Bechdel test. Because I had the article up just a second ago and I lost it for some stupid reason because I'm bad with the internet.
It was more about the movies though that I think that didn't pass the Bechdel test that people thought were interesting, and there was a whole argument then about if it was actually a good movie if it didn't pass the Bechdel test, and then there's some controversy there, and then even the person, I forget her first name, but it's based off of an old cartoonist with the last name of Bechdel, and she came up with the test.
All right. Well,
to see how well women are represented, and she even came out and said, well, it wasn't really not meant as a measure for how good like a film or fiction is. It's just to see how well that female characters are represented.
Right. Well, I mean, in my point of view, like the measure of a quality of a movie doesn't matter about whether a woman talks about a man or not. That's not really relevant. It just doesn't matter. But like, I understand the argument from the point of view of the Bechdel test, and there are good movies that are on this list. Kill Bill is obviously one. Chicago.
Is that on the passing test or not passing?
Well, yes. These are the movies that pass the Bechdel test.
Okay.
Yes, and some of them are good. Some of them are not so good. Hunger Games, I would say good. The 2016 Ghostbuster movies, not so good.
These are all movies with female protagonists, though. Like there has to be like male, protagonist movies, right? That's
yes. Children of Men.
Also
Children of Men. That one has a male
play that one.
protagonist, and it passes the Bechdel test.
The
But
Bechdel test.
most of these movies are female led. Jesus, The
Okay.
Exorcist. Crap.
Really? The Exorcist?
Well, think about what The
Huh.
Exorcist. It has nothing to do with romance. Let's say that. Crap. That 28 days later. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Good movie.
Yep.
Heath Ledger and I forget her name, but I'm sure
No.
they're,
No. 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 No.
they
No.
have
No.
some nice.
No. 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 I don't know what you're thinking of.
Oh, the zombie movie. I was thinking
10 things I hate about
some
you.
other movie. Maybe, yeah, some other numbered movie.
That could be a bad mistake. Yeah, the zombie movie is the one that passes the test.
Okay.
Spirited Away, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Descent.
Oh, did you guys enjoy Spirited Away? You mentioned that
Ooh,
you were watching that last time we talked.
that's kind of funny because me and my wife talk about this a lot because like there's so many movies we start but we never finish.
It was that one of them.
That's one of them. We
You
enjoyed
couldn't
it.
finish it, really?
The problem is I wake up at like 4 a.m. every day.
Oh.
And it doesn't matter what time I go to sleep, I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. So I get tired really early. It kind of ruins our movie nights because I will get like around like if at best I can stay up till 10. And then like it still depends on when we can start the movie. But
Okay.
most of the time we don't finish. But I did like the part of Spirited Away that we did watch. Okay, here's another example of a movie that passed the Bechdel test doesn't mean it's good. Number 8 on this list, Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Of course.
One of the worst movies.
It would be more.
One of the worst movies I've ever seen, bar none. And it ruined a lot of stuff. It just really did. It killed.
Worse than a lot of B-rated movies.
Well, do you know how bad Last Jedi was? I want to put this into like.
I don't know what the rating is, but
No, we're not talking about the rating. We're talking about what Disney is planning on doing because of The Last Jedi.
they're not going back to the Skywalker series at all, right? It kind of ends there, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that, but like Disney is is toying with the possibility of making the sequels non-canon. They're trying to come up with Yep, I'm not joking. Like Disney is in their
they don't want it to be part of the original.
Shoot, what's the guy who makes The Mandalorian? What's his name? He also made Iron Man. Do you know?
Oh yeah, he was in an episode of Friends.
Yeah, he's in Friends, and he's also in Iron Man. He's the driver. But you know?
Yeah, what's his? Oh no, it's something Favreau, John Favreau. Or
John Favreau. John Favreau. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's like French.
Yeah, that's right.
But
Favreau.
Basically, people's reception to The Mandalorian was all good, right?
I liked it.
I loved it. People's reception to the sequels, not so good. They want to give the next trilogy of Star Wars movies to Favreau, and they said they're going to try to toy with making a way so that we can actually erase the sequels. Disney came out as
trying to rewrite history here.
Yep, Disney came out and said that they're trying to come up with a way to create a multiverse in the Star Wars canon and basically make sure that act as if the sequels never happened because it pissed so many people off. Pissed me off.
You think it's also probably because Marvel has made such a good like universe out of its characters that they want to kind of try and make Star Wars into that?
I think that could be it, definitely. I think Marvel has an influence on the Star Wars series. But for me personally, I think it's how they treated Luke Skywalker. And so many people are upset by that they...
Making him drink teddy milk?
Well, no, more the fact that they just destroyed his character arc. Luke Skywalker represented hope. So what does it say about a guy who says, I'm going to kill this innocent child because I have a bad feeling?
The Force told me to.
It's a terrible, terrible twist. And I think Rian Johnson put it in there to be like, hey, you didn't see that coming. Just because you don't see something coming doesn't make it good. That's like
It makes the movie that he did Knives Out good, but not Star Wars.
uh Ryan Johnson actually can make good movies. Looper was a great movie. Um,
Yeah,
but
he can make very good unexpected movies, but he can't do it with Star Wars.
no, like he like so like I think the thing that pissed most people off about Last Jedi was definitely how Luke was treated. So
Hmm.
there's other things that are bad about that movie. The whole casino thing is sort of pointless. Um, and there's other things. And killing Snoke, that was pretty much stupid.
All this build up for this evil guy, and
Right.
you just revert back to the Emperor.
But I think people could forgive those things if Luke got a fair treatment. And most people think, including Mark Hamill, by the way, he hates Last Jedi.
Really? Okay.
Oh, I'll send you a link of like clips of like Mark Hamill describing how it's basically just this like 9-minute video of him in interviews, basically trying to warn people the Last Jedi is not good. I'm not joking. Like
Really?
it's very. There's literally a interview where he says like,
This is before the movie or after the
"This
movie
is
came out?
before the movie came out."
This is before the movie came out?
Yes, I will send you the video, and it's like, and there's a literally
What?
there's an interview where he says like, "There's nothing that can be done." Like, there's an interview of him out there saying like, "Well, there's really nothing that can be done at this point." Like he gave up on Star Wars, and you could see it in his face, and it's really heartbreaking because you can tell he cares passionately about this series. He cares passionately about the character, and he hated Last Jedi.
There's nothing that can be done legally.
So I only bring that up because I just want to say, if you pass the Bechdel test, it doesn't make the movie good necessarily, because Last Jedi is a terrible.
No. It's only if you want to measure how well females are represented. And
Sure.
it just depends on it depends on your view of, is that really qualitates a movie?
Well, okay, so I didn't want to get so hung up on Last Jedi. Here's a movie I really like, Little Miss Sunshine.
Oh yeah. It's
Yeah,
kind of, I don't know if I rewatched it, but I remember really liking it.
that's a great movie.
Didn't pass the Bechdel test.
No, it did. It did.
Oh,
Yes.
damn it.
No. Okay, and then number one shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Aliens. Aliens is the best movie for female representation, apparently. Which
Aliens. A lot of these movies have non-human characters in them.
well, I think it. Okay, so I'm gonna say something controversial. Do you know what the best-selling book for women is?
Is it a men's book?
No, it was written by a woman. But do you know what the best-selling book? You're gonna.
Is it the Harry Potter series?
No,
Harry Potter series?
It's not Harry Potter.
Written by a woman.
It's written by a woman. I'll give you a hint. It was written as Twilight fan fiction.
No, wait. Twilight fan. Oh, okay, yeah. 50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey. That's the
Yeah.
best-selling book for women. No joke.
Still? Okay.
As far as I know, I don't know if any book
Women.
beat it. So
Does the 50 Shades of Grey pass the Bechdel test?
I don't think so. Would you think it would? No,
Wouldn't that be ironic?
It would be. But like, well, like I don't know if the Bechdel test means quality. I mean, like it just means how well can we portray women as men? Because Aliens is number one. Now Ripley, I love Ripley. Ripley's a badass, but like she's an action hero. Like women don't go for action movies necessarily. I've noticed that by watching movies with my wife. She doesn't want to watch action movies as much, unless superheroes. I think she likes Marvel movies. Really, she likes Marvel. But it's more about the.
What is it about superheroes that everyone can get behind,
Well,
but hipsters?
Those movies are just really well written, and I think she enjoys the characters. Like her favorite character is Tony Stark, who's a really well written character. Yeah, it's not just about the action. Like I would have to ask. Do you like? Okay, she's listening to something else. But anyways, like I don't. She's not into action necessarily. Aliens is a good movie to guys. I don't know if women would be as into it, just because even if Ripley is a female action hero.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think about that? Do you think that do you think the Bechdel test accurately reflects what women want to see?
Ooh, better phrased question. Um, I think they would like to see that. I mean, there are more women in the world than men, right?
But do you think women want to see women as action heroes?
Well, it's not about whether they're action heroes, though.
No, but I'm saying like
It's whether
the top two movies
they're.
on this the top three movies on this list for the Bechdel test
Oh, that passed it.
that pass it. Yeah, exactly. Top three. Number
Mm.
one, Aliens. Number two, Mad Max Fury Road. Number three, Wonder Woman. They're all
Mad
action.
Max?
Yeah, have you seen Fury Road?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it is. It's yeah, but like you understand why how like what's her name? The Charlize Theron
Shirley's.
character. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
she's really the lead.
It was disappointing. They were making like a prequel or something, and she wasn't going to be in it.
What? Okay.
Yeah, she's like one of the best characters.
No, she is the best character in that. Like Mad Max is sort of a secondary character, really. Well, I can't remember her name though. What the character's name is? Let's see if it's written here.
Mm.
No, it's not written. But point is, those are the top three movies that pass the Bechdel test. Do you think those are like? Do you think women would want to see those movies, or those movies guys want to see? Because those are action movies.
Those are guy movies for sure.
Okay, so then Bechdel test doesn't really reflect what women want. It just reflects how well men
What
like to see.
Society might
I
want.
guess. I only I
I,
once just being married, I've just learned more and more. But like, I try to get my wife to watch action movies like guns, shoot 'em up, pum, 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 pum. She won't do it.
oh, really?
do. I just don't enjoy them as much as you do, but I always watch them with you.
Okay. Okay. So she wanted to clarify that she will gladly watch an action movie. She just doesn't enjoy it as much as I do. But like,
Well, it has to be voluntary. Like, would she go out on her own and watch it? No.
okay, that's a good question.
But-
Would you voluntarily watch an action movie like that on your own?
It depends. I love the Marvel movies
Okay, so she's.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh no no.
that I'm looking forward to.
Okay, so she didn't hear the first part of that. So obviously,
Mhm.
I had already mentioned she likes Marvel. So it just depends on how well the movie's written and if the characters she likes.
I gotta like the actors.
Yeah.
Like sympathize.
So, but like Mad Max Fury Road, Aliens, Wonder Woman, Black Swan.
Yeah.
Okay, that's actually a really good movie, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. I love Darren Aronofsky.
I love the wrestler.
Although I haven't watched his latest movie, Mother, which it was really odd, apparently.
Oh, I heard that like a lot of people didn't like that one. It was too, what would you call it?
Avant-garde.
Yeah, exactly. Too avant-garde, and like people would think of it as pretentious because of that.
Art can be pretentious.
Well, I love Black Swan, and I love The Wrestler. That's one of my favorite movies. Like
Did he do that? I forgot he did that if he did.
he did that one, and that's a really good movie. So he's a great director. So The Black Swan is up there in the top 5, and rounding out the top 5, Little Miss Sunshine. So there are really good movies on this list, but I only want to draw the distinction that passing the Bechdel test doesn't mean it appeals to women.
Hmm. There were also some offshoots they made, like how well like Asian women were represented and all sorts of other ones. I just can't remember them off the top of my head right now.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. No, I mean that
Yeah, if you want to say one that passed, yeah.
that would definitely be
Thanks.
an Asian woman who's a kung fu master. That's definitely passes the Bechdel test. But
Actually, I don't think Mulan passes the Bechdel test.
really,
I think so. I could be wrong though.
but
There were some ones you wouldn't have guessed, obviously. that
Okay,
didn't-
but that goes once again to say that like just passing the Bechdel test doesn't mean it's a quality movie.
No. And speaking, I guess speaking for Mary and for women, I do think women in general prefer very character-driven stories rather than action-oriented. Not that I don't. I love like good stories and characters and everything, but I think it's more important maybe for
Well, I
for
want to.
women, I think.
So on this list of 25 movies, I think this movie would pass the Bechdel test. A movie we watched that she loved and I loved, we both loved, was called A Quiet Place. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah, the John Krasinski movie.
Yeah, the John Krasinski movie and the horror movie. Like, That is that's one of the better horror movies I've ever seen. Like, it's not just one of the better horror movies.
Really?
It's not just one of the better horror movies I've ever seen. It's one of the better movies I've ever seen. Because it, like, without saying much dialogue at all, it's so emotional. It's such a good movie. It's impressive. So, way to go, Jim from The Office.
Do you think A Quiet Place was a rip-off of the Bird Box?
I'm pretty sure A Quiet Place came out first. But I don't know. I never saw Bird Box.
It did, but Bird Box was also it was a best-selling book before.
Really? Shoot.
Yeah.
No, I never saw Bird Box. I didn't even know it was a book.
Well, essentially, I mean, it's the same thing except people can't like look or see things, right?
Right.
It's just you have.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
If it was a ripoff, I don't know if it's. I really can't say because I've never seen it. I don't know anything about it. I just know the gimmick that people can't see anything. If you want to say that they're similar in that way, yeah, but this I don't know how the story goes in Bird Box, but in A Quiet Place, it really focuses on this one family, and it's just a survival game, and it's really intense. Like every moment is like every little sound makes you like kind of like tense up. It's an amazing movie.
Yeah, without the dialogue.
There doesn't need to be much dialogue. Like one of the most emotional parts of that movie spoilers. So like I think me and my wife talk about this because like we don't know how necessary it was. But when the father sacrifices himself, it's a very well done scene. And it's only funny because it doesn't need to happen because man, it's been a while since we've seen that movie. But the funny part was we just realized it didn't need to happen.
I think someone pointed that out while I was watching it too.
Yeah, like something along the lines of I have to rewatch that scene or at least the movie or at least that scene because there was a glaring obvious loophole in this plot that meant that he didn't have to sacrifice himself. It was beautiful, but it didn't have to happen.
But for the narrative, he did.
Hey, I'm gonna try to bring my wife in here for a little bit because I want to know more about this. Mary, do you remember A Quiet Place?
Of course, I love that movie.
Do you remember why the father didn't need to sacrifice himself? Because we were talking about that, right? Because so the father sacrifices himself. It's a really beautiful scene, but the irony is it didn't need to happen. There was something about that scene that meant like it was pointless.
I don't remember correctly, but yeah, that was a stupid part. I admit it. Like, it was absolutely not. It was probably just a matter of hiding or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't.
But it was. We should watch it again.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, but there was something about that scene. It's really well done and it's beautiful, but it's also stupid.
Yeah.
Because it didn't need to happen. He didn't need to sacrifice himself. There was something along the lines that they could have just. Damn it.
Well, in all horror movies, doesn't something stupid need to happen though?
That is true. In order for horror to exist, people can't be smart.
It wouldn't be horrifying.
It can't be a horror movie if someone doesn't do something stupid.
He just wanted to be a hero so bad.
What?
He just wanted to be a hero, I guess, because there was no need for him to. Yeah.
He wanted to get out of that relationship. He hated being a father. He hated that marriage. So he just like, I'd rather be dead.
Fuck it.
At least they'll remember me well.
There you go.
Man.
Yeah, I don't know if I have much else to say on the test. I thought I would have more, but
No, my only thought is the Bechdel test is kind of an interesting way.
Oh, I get it. I got it. Sorry if you overachieves.
Hold on. We got a little like.
That thing would like get attracted by this big sound. So he had a gun. He could have just shoot at a random place, and that thing would go towards the sound. But instead, he ran like almost in front of him to shoot him. Like, dude, you could just hide, shoot somewhere else, wait for that thing to go, and then go get your daughter. But like, why are you doing that?
That's right. He had a gun, and he decided not to use the gun. That's I think that was but he. Sorry, Brent.
He used it. The thing is, if he would shoot shoot, let's say, to his left side, for example, it would mean that the monster would run to the left side, and then he could just like try to go somewhere else.
Well-
Just distract the monster. That keep him away using the sound. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
So
You could have thrown a rock or something, like just basically.
Try to make a sound like away from the that spot where he wanted to go to, and instead he just went right in front of him like and shooting at the monster. Like, why are you doing that?
In the father's defense, though, I'm pretty sure like right before then he was like injured, and he knew he was basically a liability to his kids because I think he realized that I can't get home. I can't remember. I think he had like a broken leg or something like that. Maybe he thought that he.
We should just watch it again and then comment on it like with real.
Okay, we'll reconvene on this topic next week. I'll give you a more accurate summary of that movie next week. I promise.
Martin watch that?
Yeah. Oh shoot! I lost Martin. Hey, Martin, you there?
There's supposed to be a sequel to it, though, isn't there?
There is going to be a sequel, but
Hello?
okay. So we'll reconvene
I'm
on
here.
this. Hey, you're here. You're here. You here?
Hello?
Hello. Can you hear me? Oh no.
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Okay, so we'll reconvene on this topic next week because like we have to rewatch this movie. I guess that's just what has to happen.
Apparently, yeah.
Apparently,
This scene must be reshot.
yes, it does. It's a great movie, so I'm looking forward to it. But in summary of this topic, I would say the Bechdel test is interesting, but it's not necessary to make a quality movie, and I don't think it reflects what women want to see.
I think that's why in the Rick and Morty episode they do the Bechdel test and make it seem completely ironic or sarcastic the way they portray it.
I love Rick and Morty, and I haven't seen any new episodes in a while. I mean, I probably saw the
I
first.
think you would really enjoy that scene.
The last.
It's between Summer and Beth, and
The last.
it's really funny.
The last episode I remember is when Rick turns himself in, which I think is the season 3 finale.
Oh, you're behind.
Yeah, I know I'm behind. That's a really good show, but I have no one to watch it with. If you come down, we can watch it together. I mean,
Okay.
I'll cook for you guys.
Mary will cook us empanadas if you want to come.
Hey.
No, it's good. Like, hey, maybe next week we can have a podcast in person. What do you say?
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Come on.
I don't have anything going on.
All right, maybe we can do this. And you can play the Final Fantasy game. We'll eat empanadas. We'll talk in person. We'll see how it goes. All right. Hey, I know we didn't get to everything we wanted to talk about today, but I'm happy. You're happy, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, happy.
And there's always more out there. It's such an infinite universe, an infinite world with so many possibilities.
Infinite words with infinite discussions, yes.
There is no reason to be bored in this world. Your mind is an infinite space inside a universe which is nearly infinite. So, please, people.
Unless you're stuck in a desensory container.
Or if you're in a gas station in Oklahoma or something. Oh,
They come and go.
oh no, they're coming. I was gonna no, actually, Kansas, Wichita, Dry County. Remember?
Yeah.
We drove for like 17 hours that day, and we found out the county was dry. We could
I
not
can't
buy
forget
any
that.
alcohol. It was a very frustrating time. Anyways,
Thankfully, everything after that was very enjoyable. But
yeah, but like, come on, like that was that was a slap in the face, wasn't it?
yes, it was.
Driving.
I mean, we went from like almost being snowed in Wyoming to long drives to
we drove.
nothing to drink.
We drove
when we
from
got there.
Wyoming to Kansas. Nearly 17 hours. We were ripping each other's heads off because we were getting annoyed with each other, and in the end, there was no alcohol at the end of the road. We had no beer. Damn Dry County.
It's like a bad camping trip, you know.
Fuck Wichita.
Where it just starts raining.
All right.
Well, Wichita was fine. It was Park City that sucked.
Was it? Oh, I don't remember. I'd have to look back into it. I have
That's where we stayed.
Oh, was it? Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
All right. I got nothing more to add. So, you want to say the last words?
Yeah. Next week we'll be talking about Australia LLC.
LLC. All right. So for Tina and Karen do the tube, I am Karen.
Tina signing out.
All right. Stay safe and stay hydrated. All right. Bye.
Bye bye.